Hello, and welcome to Tell Me How You Did It. I'm Namrata Zakaria, and I'm here to bring to you my handpicked list of some of India's finest brands. Yes, our best homegrown companies that can compete with the world's best and still win the battle hands down. These companies range from food, fashion, and film to home, art, and design. I'm only too happy to talk to the founders who not only chased their rainbows, they also made India proud. Make sure you tune in at htsmartcast.com week after week to shake the hands that built our best businesses. Listen to them tell me how they did it. A few years ago, fashion mogul Sabyasachi Mukherjee told me of a lady he met at the Bhubaneswar airport. She came up to him and she fell at his feet. She said to him that her husband came into great wealth copying his designs. So what she did was she put Sabyasachi's photo alongside all her assorted gods in this little temple in her house and she prayed to him every day. I was gobsmacked at the story and I repeat it in almost every article I've written on him since. I mean, we know about Sabyasachi's numbers, right? He's constantly in the business papers. We know of his several hundred crores in his kitty, but this sort of hero worship is is unusual. In India, it's usually relegated to like movie stars and cricketers, but for a fashion designer, I've seen it for the first time. Sabyasachi is here with me today. He's here with us today, hot on the heels of great success and a little bit of controversy to tell us how he does it. Sabya, welcome to my podcast. Welcome to Tell Me How You Did It. I hope you're in the mood of spilling some serious beans.
Thank you, Namrata. Uh, it's a very difficult question to answer. I still don't know how I did it. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice, but plenty of luck as well. And I also think that, along the way, I realized that, when you build a brand, it's no longer just about the product. It's about how you conduct yourself with the press, how you tell a story, how you market the brand, which in India sometimes people think is a very wrong word. And like to be successful as a designer or a design entrepreneur, one needs to check many boxes. It is not just about product and design only. It's about the ethos of the brand. It's about communication. It's about understanding how the world is moving, where the world is moving. It is about having a connect with the audience, and also it is about creating an aspiration with a product that is transient.
I like how you attribute it to luck because 2021 has been a remarkable year for you. You started it with the mega announcement of Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail buying a majority stake in your company. Just last week, your long awaited collaboration with H&M was launched internationally. You really make us believe in God, you know that, right?
Well, I believe in God, Namrata. I'm very grateful to Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla because we had this ongoing dialogue for the last 3 4 years. Because when I turned 45, I'm 47 now. I had decided that I would start looking at this business from the point of posterity. I I don't have any children. My family is not very interested in the business that I do, and many designers have been selfish enough to keep the brand just to themselves, and then the brand dies a painful death when they cannot handle the business anymore. And I I wanted I wanted Sabyasachi to be about not just about me but about everybody. And I said that this is the time when we start sowing the seeds of creating a business that can last beyond my generation. And Mr. Birla saw merit in it, and we decided that we'll work together. And the timing couldn't have been better because we had started speaking about a year before the pandemic. Of course, the deal happened a little later because every one of us went into a tizzy. And then good things happen to people who wait. H&M happened, the deal happened. I'm
We
very
still have 4 months left to 2021 getting over. So, any more shockers coming up?
if time was correct, I would have actually opened a store in New York by now, but I think it's going to get delayed because of the pandemic. We've just opened a jewelry store, luxury jewelry store in Dubai, and but this is the year when we are going to actually start focusing on creating a much more stronger back end, because I think there are certain years you grow, where there are certain years you consolidate. I think this has been a great learning experience for all of us. The pandemic has taught us many lessons. It is important for growing businesses to learn from the pandemic and apply these learnings into business so that you can run a better and a more a more successful business in future.
I have to ask you right here, right now, about the controversy that ensued um, after your H&M launch. A bunch of artisan-related NGOs got together and collectively wrote you an open letter on their social platforms, criticizing you of tying up with a fast fashion brand. You know my thoughts, right? I've already written about it. I've even shared, I've even posted about it, and I actually quite agitated about this Brahminical bullying and this sort of ganging up. I just think it's unpleasant. It reflects very poorly on them. But I want to know your thoughts. I want you to tell all of us what you are going through, because on one hand, to be celebrated internationally is wonderful, and on the other hand, to be pilloried in your own country, um, it must be confusing or angering or whatever you feel.
It's confusing, Namrata. I don't know if it angers me, because I've long gone past that stage, because I think I've been controversy's child, at least in fashion, and you get used to it. And I also think that when you become a very powerful brand, everybody's going to have an opinion, and you as the owner of the brand, you need to man up to learn to take it. The good with the bad with the ugly. But having said that, when H&M actually came to me, there are a lot of questions about them, about sustainability, about some. I knew that I would be sent to the doghouse if I did the collaboration. I knew what's going to happen, but I still did it,
I'm
and I did it.
surprised you say that, because I think it's a lot of fuss over nothing.
No, it is a lot of fuss over nothing, but I think that here we are all missing the bigger picture, and I'll tell you why I did it. See, H&M has a very simple business model. They do a collaboration with a very powerful designer in a region who has a massive following, but probably doesn't have a business of scale to be able to reach out to that following. And they do these collaborations only once with each designer. And I was very clear that I wanted to be a part of the collaboration. And I'll tell you why, Namrata. Because it pains me that after being in this industry for so long, and after having we have so much resources, there's so much history, there's so much heritage, we have never been able to cross over and create a very strong brand out of India. For the longest time, we have been producers. We have never been able to helm a brand. People have come from outside. They have taken things from India and they have created great brands, but we have been reduced as manufacturers. And for me, it was a personal mission to be able to attempt to change that once in my lifetime. I also thought that a collaboration of this scale would sensitize people to India. It would open up many doors of dialogue, and let's talk about the Sanganer print, for instance. The issue of controversy. I think that craft has a place, and for me, it has a place in luxury. For the last 20 years, irrespective of all the criticism that people say about me, they cannot refute the fact that I've single handedly, in many ways, and I speak about it with no arrogance, just with honesty, that I've raised the bar of craft in the country. I started working with Banaras a very long time ago. And if you speak directly to a lot of weavers in Banaras, they will say, yes, because of Mr. Mukherjee, the prices of Banarsi saris have gone up. I've partnered with Bollywood because I know the kind of image making that is necessary in India, because Bollywood is almost like a very big subculture. In fact, for Indian weddings, whether it was bringing the Gotapatti back or the Kirna back on Deepika's dupatta, or whether it was collaborating with Anushka actually to make her wear a Banarsi sari, of which millions of copies have been made by now. I've always championed craft, and my thing is very simple. I'm like, why is it that when handmade in Italy, when handmade in France, handmade anywhere in the world, has such expensive price tags, and such great marketing has been created around it. Why do we have to resign craft and not pick up the to a high street level, and not pick up craft to luxury? I think that customers today are very, very intelligent. They're very aware. They know exactly what is going on. And like, I remember, I used to go and buy Calvin Klein underwear from Bangkok, fake ones, when I didn't have money. And then eventually I aspired to buy the real underwear when I had money. I remember we all went to Bangkok in the night markets and bought fake logo T-shirts, eventually wanting to buy the real thing. Similarly with craft, I think that when today a discerning customer who has got into money will probably buy a version of the craft at a digitized level, and then buy the real craft at a luxury level at a much better price. And it's a great thing for the economy. It's a great thing for the artisans. It's a great, you see, because when craft expands, and craft expands at a mass level, but the prices go down, who benefits? The middleman benefits. The individual karigar is still getting paid pittance. The aggregator benefits. And I think that what we had tried to do as a brand in a couture level, and we've done it in so many ways. We've done collaborations with Christian Louboutin. We've done collaborations. We've actually found space in Bergdorf Goodman under the rotunda next to Dior and Chanel, where we sold Kadwa Banarsi saris, and we showed the finest of Pashmina shawls, and everything proudly said handmade in India, because that customer has the money to be able to not only buy craft but be able to look after it. Like, you're talking about an audience at H&M who would probably not have the luxury of dry cleaning or laundering clothes outside. They would probably put it in the washing machine. Sometimes compliance does not allow you. Price points don't allow you, because when you're talking about a very large brand, a large brand has budgets of marketing, budgets of distribution, budgets of retail, budgets of logistics, budgets of salaries. And you can't really buy something at X and sell it at 2X. Probably an NGO can do that because their overheads are lower, but a big multinational can't do that. They'll probably have to take something at X and price it at 4X or 5X. And that is the nature of the business, because business has to be sustainable first for everything else to follow. Idealism is wonderful, but idealism can only sustain when there is commerce. Without commerce, idealism is a vague ideal.
I
And
like what you said. Sorry, please finish.
no, no, no.
No,
Please.
I like what you said about design and craft being a two-way street, because traditionally, historically, craft has come into our language thanks to the patronage of the royalty, of the Nizams, of the Sultans. They have, supported it and popularized it, right? Even our wedding wear. I mean, there's a reason why we dress up as a king and a queen, and we sit on the thrones, because we want to emulate what the rich did, or in our case what the royal family did. So that whole Raja Rani, Dulha Dulan idea comes from there. And also what you said about today's high street customer being tomorrow's luxury customer, because that's how I became a luxury customer. That's how we all became luxury customers, right?
Yeah, and like, much has been said about the H&M sari. A lot of people, who are, you see, there are a lot of people who are within the fashion fraternity for whom the sari is cool. But there, if we get out of a little bubble of Instagram and look at the big reality outside, a lot of young girls are not wearing a sari. For them, when you make the sari cool, because they all want to be global citizens, you wear a viscose sari today, but you are going to wear the Banarsi tomorrow or a silk tomorrow. The idea is to open the doors for dialogue. And I I think that when I look at the H&M collaboration, I don't think this collaboration was just about fashion. This was an India collaboration. Very rarely have such large collaborations happened in the country. We are looking at markets like Vietnam, Belgium, France, Italy, Germany, South Korea, Philippines, USA, UK, Italy, Spain, you know, about 18 to 20 countries and 42 online markets, and everything got sold out under 1 hour. My friends at the New York Fifth Avenue store said that they could not get hold of any merchandise. Isn't it a big win for India? And what am I supposed to do as an Indian designer? As an Indian designer, do you want me to sell polka dots and stripes? Or do you want to sell an idea of India? Yes, I've done hybrid versions of the Sanganeri print. Married to Tuldiji, married to Chins. But I wanted to show an India that I was proud of in whichever form we did. And today, a design student probably sitting in Paris or in London or in Italy or in Spain who's never heard of the word Sanganer will probably Google it, find out, let them come to India and let them decide whether they want to do digital or they want to do craft. I think exposure is the most important thing. Exposure leads to greater dialogues, leads to greater commerce, and with commerce sustaining, so many things can sustain. I think there is a place for technology in the world. Technology is coming in because we have one big problem in the world, which is population. Technology probably will help you with population, because at the end of the day, Namrata, everybody needs clothes. We talk about sustainability, but we very very well know that it's going to be a never ending dialogue, because there is so much of dichotomy in sustainability. Sometimes producing sustainable does not mean the consumption is sustainable. Sometimes when you're not producing sustainably, your consumption becomes sustainable. And
It's contradictory.
in many many ways it's
Yeah.
contradictory. I think people have a very myopic way of looking at sustainability. You need to look at it holistically, and sustainability means different things for different economies. We all want to save the planet, but we had a the great Bengali poet Shukant. I think it was Shukanto Bhattacharya. I do not want to misquote, but I think it was Shukanto. He said something about the Bengal famines. He said that today, when I'm hungry, I want to say goodbye to poetry. I have no art inside me anymore, no idealism left, because every time I look at a moon, it reminds me of a roti.
Oh,
And
oh, that's just painful.
yeah, and that is the reality of the world today.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of people can afford to talk about sustainability, but a lot of people can't. It's all economics. And different people in, like, it's very easy to globalize everything on all perception and say this is right and this is not right. Step into people's shoes, step into
Yeah.
consumers shoes, step into different economic landscape, and then stand on a wall and shout out.
Yeah, I totally hear you, and that is also why I started the fundraiser I did, Baradri, because for us in India, economic sustainability, rural economies, stirring that sort of sustainable livelihood is the most important thing that we've not been able to to do for 75 years. I mean, we're just not able to get out of that chronic poverty cycle. But I would like to ask you, and if you would like to tell
And
me.
before that, I would just like to intervene. I have so many people calling me who are asking me to want to know more about chins and sanganer, because I am saying, what is important. There is a Hindi saying that I've always used as a part of my marketing mantra. Pehle darshandhari, fir gun vichari,
What does it mean?
which means you first have to like something to appreciate the intrinsic quality of it. I wanted people to get exposed to the India that I was proud of, in whichever matter it didn't matter, and let them discover India and let them decide. Like I said, a lot of people, if you speak to a lot of design students today in the country, a lot of people will say, I love technology. For every Manish Arora, there is a Sabyasachi. For every modernist, there is a traditionalist. Why does one have to cancel the other?
Yeah. What is your relationship with the artisan? How many do you employ? How many do you outsource from? And what is the financial equation that you share with them in terms of wages or salaries? Just can you throw some light on this?
Yes, Namrata. We have 1,600 Karigars right now, 1,600 people directly employed in the company,
Employed.
directly employed within the company,
That's
1,600.
an enviable number.
Yes, but the more enviable number is the people that we outsource from. It's close to 7,500 people all over India. And I'm very proud to say that the number multiplies by quite many hundreds if you look at the copy market.
I would say a couple of million. But you know,
And
when you shared last year, and you were the first designer to do this during the lockdown, that to publicly make the sort of commitment that all your employees would be paid through the lockdown. I mean, that was very responsible and also seemingly impossible of you, because it's hard to do, right? Everything economically stood still for 3-4 months, but you publicly made that sort of commitment.
no, Namrata, even today, I have to say we had to let go of a few people. It is not that we didn't, but with the promise, we gave them, I think we paid people till the end of September, October. And it was a lot of money because the company was bleeding. And but we still kept a lot of people. At least 60% of the people were working from home. A lot of people are still getting salaries, but they still haven't managed to come in because we are running our workshops at 50% capacity. That's the mandate of the state government. And having said that, one of the reason one of the reason why this investment came at such a right time was I spoke to Mr. Birla. He's very, very respectful of what we've built. And I'm looking at the changes that ABFRL is bringing in, changes in HR, changes in the way they are looking into I could only manage a certain kind of insurance, but they're bringing insurance not just for the workers, but for their families. They're bringing in health insurance. They're bringing in financial security. They're coming up with policies where they can give them better support system to improve their careers. And what they Mr. Birla, his daughter, a lot of them work in Mr. Birla's daughter works in microfinance sector. They're doing a lot with craft and artisans. And I think it's a work in progress, and it's going to be an ongoing commitment from our side that in years to come, we are going to work with more and more craftspeople. We are going to help them with healthcare, with education, with banking, so that I have never really believed in charity.
But
I've
this
never
is human capitalism. This is
correct,
ethical capitalism,
correct.
right?
I've not believed in charity because I think charity somehow, for me, is somehow it's about not letting a person be empowered. I think if you really want someone to sustain, just empower them to stand on their own feet.
Yeah.
And that is what we try to do. We are also going to start setting up small micro businesses for some of our craftspeople, so that while they work for us, they can work for other organizations also. Chanel has managed to do that, with their ateliers, where the first right of refusal comes from Chanel, and then they can work with other people. We are not only going to do that, we are probably going to, at a time much later, probably do global collaborations where we can probably facilitate artisans to produce for global companies. And there is only that much that you need, but the rest can all be employed by other people.
That is game changing. It's fantastic.
And my job as a designer, at least in my lifetime, is to raise the bar of craft in this country. I think if I can take a sari from a price point of 5 rupees to 50 rupees, the entire ecosystem benefits. I remember as I raise my prices more and more, I bring in better and better quality. We spend so much money in creating the brand. The copy market rises. As the copy market rises, there is more and more and more people who get employed. I keep telling people that don't stop commerce. It's not a bad word. You have to understand, without commerce, nothing survives. When with commerce, with ethical capitalism, with creating sort of empowerment for people at lower levels, everything will grow. And I have a long-term view of business, not a short-term view of business, which is probably one of the reasons why we have been successful. Because I say that it's like a people tree movement. You can't really rise up without taking people along with you. There are many people in my organization who are incentivized on top line. Because they're incentivized on top line, they all think it's their business. You speak to some of the people in my company, they believe that they own the company more than I do. And I think it's a great thing.
That's wonderful. Can you tell me about the moving parts, about your Aditya Birla deal? Like, are you going to mass manufacture, or is it a horizontal expansion with makeup and jewelry, accessories, which, you've had a phenomenal year with accessories as well, home decor? Give us some details.
I think it's going to be a horizontal expansion first. I am not going to do ready to wear at the moment, but I'll never say never, because the world changes so furiously. You never know what might happen, and I do not some the pandemic brought us to our knees. If something like that happened again, God only knows what we'll be forced to do, because it took all our dignity away. And but right now it's all about horizontal expansion. We want to do beauty because I think there's space for Indian beauty in the world. We want to do fragrances, we want to do eyewear, we want to do jewelry. Jewelry is going to be a very big push for us, because I started off as a jeweler, and I have a and I think I understand jewelry better than many people in the industry, and it's been a passion for me. And we are going to grow jewelry at every single level, from entry level to couture. And
Did you know that your jewelry vertical would be this huge? You said to me in an earlier interview that you made more money making jewelry in 1 year than you did in like a decade of making fashion.
yeah, in the third year of the business, second or third year of the business, we almost touched 100 crores in jewelry. you know uh, it's been a slow growth, because people are always suspicious. There has been a lot of ganging up against me with the jewelers in the country. But if you hashtag Sabyasachi today, you'll see more fakes of my jewelry than you'll see fakes of my clothes. So that's becoming a big industry. And I'm very proud to say that we've been only in the game for 2 years. We've had windows on Fifth Avenue, we've had Bergdorf shutting down, and people selling high jewelry for the first time on Fifth Avenue. There were girls who came, they begged Bergdorf to open the store for them, and they actually sold the jewelry on pavement. They've never done that before.
That
It was
sounds comical.
Yeah, it was. I think it was reported by New York Times or by Vogue.com. I'm not sure which one. And then today, we have started a jewelry store with Bayat Damas. The CEO of that project is a CEO who's ex CEO of Hermes watches and jewelry, and we share a pride of place with brands like Mikimoto and Graf, stalwarts in the industry.
Yeah.
And we are the only designers from India, only jewelers from India. And we are going to be opening a New York store, which is going to have a very strong section for flagship for jewelry. And in years to come, the aspiration is to become the Cartier of India.
Well, there's a lot of rooms in some, most of the jewelers are in hiding or in jail. Tell me about the Bengal Tiger motif. It is, and I'm saying this as a commentator, as a market watcher, it is in, Indian fashion's first recognizable logo. Why did you feel the need to have a logo? Because it's a very old marketing, shtick. But in fashion, I've never seen anyone do it at this level where, it's just become, you don't need to say Sabyasachi. It just has, it's just the logo. It's just the tiger. I think it's brilliant.
You've answered the question, Namrata. So, the idea was to find something where people could say Sabyasachi without saying Sabyasachi. And also, it's a difficult name to pronounce. When the label goes worldwide, it'll be easier for people to say probably the Tiger brand rather than Sabyasachi. And it's a beautiful logo. It's very powerful. It's very India proud. It's very Bengal proud. And I wanted to do something that stood for India and stood for West Bengal, where I come from. And this logo was also plagiarized. Like, I remember going to the Alipur Zoo, and there's a very handsome tiger that sits atop the National Library, a sculpture. And I looked at that and I said, a version of this is going to be my logo, because it just made me feel, it was just so powerful, standing alone on its own, a solitary creature in the afternoon sun in Calcutta. And sometimes you just know. So I came back home and I sketched the logo, and we did this show called Big Love, and the rest is history.
Lovely. Excuse me for being vulgar, but how do you make money? Do you have some sort of Midas's touch that everything you attempt pretty much turns to gold? I mean, everyone says, Sabya is a great businessman, but what does it really mean? I mean, it's also a little annoying in a reductive sort of way, like as if you're just sitting on one gadi and counting money. Like, what, how do you do it? Like, how do you really you know, turn an idea into a success story?
Empathy.
Empathy.
Empathy. I was born middle class. And when you're born middle class, no matter how rich you become or how powerful you become, these values never leave you. Every time I make something, I tell myself, why will people spend money trying to achieve that? A lot of people actually look at the intrinsic value of a product and say, oh, this is expensive, this is not expensive. By that logic, Chanel wouldn't have sold, Hermes wouldn't have sold. You know, I think what people don't do is they don't invest in the ecosystem of luxury. You need to not only focus on a product, but you need to focus on the storytelling, the experience, the advertising. So today, when I dress up a Deepika Padukone or a Priyanka Chopra or an Aishwarya Rai, when my clothes go to Cannes, when I'm at Bergdorf, when I'm doing things, even somebody who's buying, let's say, a belt from me, which is at entry level, will feel that they're a part of that story. I think I think the only way to make money is to invest money, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people want returns without giving anything back. I think there's a very simple organic principle of business. You need to put in money to get money. And I've never been shy of that. At times when my turnovers were very small, I knew, I remember when I opened my large Bombay store, my business wasn't that big, but I had a vision. I was like, why do people who come in luxury cars like Rolls Royces and Jaguars and want to spend 5 or 6 lakhs on clothing? Why do they have to go into a store that looks like a garage? Why is there no experience? And this is the same customer from India who's going to the Louis Vuitton stores and the Chanel stores. Why can't we give them similar experiences? I took off a lot of my marketing budget to put it in the store. And the stores have catapulted the business. And I keep telling people one thing. I said that, a lot of people, you need to be a little detached about money.
Yeah.
If you're always going to be counting pennies, you'll never be able to grow a business. It's very important to have a vision and to feed that vision with money, so that the vision actually, it's money is like a fertilizer. You want to plant a tree, you need to give fertilizer to it to be able to let the tree bloom, and the fruits will come back and you can sell the fruits and you can make more money. I think people need to understand the importance of being able to invest in their vision and their businesses, and money will happen.
This also brings me to brand building. I mean, what does it mean to you? Because a lot of people use it very loosely, if they didn't make money, oh, I did it for brand building. But you have nurtured your label, nurtured your company. Um, it's no short of an empire. So is this what you had dreamed of when you started? And how did you go about achieving this brand story? Because to me, as an outsider, it seems slow, it seems sure-footed, it seems very meticulous. So tell me how you planned it.
Namrata, I've always had a very strong sense of self. And what bothered me always was the fact that we've never been able to build superlative brands out of India. One of the big brand, one of the things in luxury that I admire from India is the Oberoi hotels. Because it was singularly run by one man, and he put us on a position of pride. And I've said that in many of my interviews. I look up to him. I look up to Mr. Oberoi. And there are such fabulous tales of him of changing the plumbing all over the hotels in Delhi, so that the water could come, the water could heat. There's a certain way he wanted certain room sizes. He didn't. He had an opportunity of doing hotels with larger amount of rooms, but he deliberately kept the rooms larger, but the number of rooms smaller, so he could give people that sense of luxury. I think you need to be a little giving to be able to create a brand, and you need to have an exemplary vision. And for me, I say one thing to people. I said that, brands are things that last. If you want to make money, you can have a short term view of making money or a long term view of making money. And after you make a certain amount of money, money for a lot of people like us is just mere statistics. What you want to actually leave behind is a legacy. For me, that was very important, that when I look back, when I'm lying alone in a hospital bed when I'm not well, and I know that it's my time to go, I want to look back and say that in my lifetime I at least had a shot. I at least tried to create a difference, and I tried to create something that would last. If I can do that, I feel very privileged.
Sabya, how do you deal with your copycats across fashion, jewelry, accessories? You, in your 20 plus years, you've been the most copied designer from the first year, and I've watched you since then. Your aesthetic is has been in every bridal shop, the gazillions of them across the country, your dark colors, the dull gold embroidery, the mismatched prints, your beautiful vintage borders. Now your handbag, and I know we shared this, on WhatsApp a month ago when, your handbag was spotted in one of the Delhi's, local bazaars along with a Dior and a Michael Kors. How do you deal with it?
You have to deal with it by becoming a realist. When you come out with a beautiful idea, if you do not have the bandwidth to reach out to everybody who aspires to be a part of the idea, somebody else will fill in. While copying is annoying, but you have to understand something, that you will only fear the copy market if you have not built a brand where people will aspire to buy you at the real price. Today, I don't worry about the copy market anymore, because of the fact that I know that my customers, and a lot of my customers like the digitized Sanganeri print, are coming from the copy market into the Sabyasachi brand. I'll give you an example. A lot of girls probably wear uh, Sabya copy number 1 or 2 or 3 for their friends' weddings or for their sisters' weddings. But when it comes to their real weddings, their own weddings, they come to the brand because they say, maybe just once in my life I'll be able to buy or wear a Sabya. And I think the copy market in many ways has been a great advertiser for the brand. They are silent advertisers, because they're constantly telling other people that how good you are, and that's the reason why they have to copy you. I think it's a great flattery, and it's also great in terms of business marketing. What one needs to do is one needs to be ahead of the curve by the question is not about what will you do about the copy market. The question is, what will you do to your own brand so that people want to buy you and not want to buy a copy. A lot of people get that math wrong. Worldwide, just imagine what would happen to Chanel or Louis Vuitton if there were no copies sold anywhere in the world. They would be very disappointed.
You've told me before that Sabyasachi, the company, doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the country. What do you mean by that?
Look at the kind of look at the kind of um, reactions we cause in people, from very loved to very hated. It all happens when people have an ownership on your brand. Like much like well-loved brands. I keep saying that if a cricketer manages to lose a World Cup match, no matter how good the person has been throughout his career, becomes a national terrorist. You know, like I think when you become powerful because of the love of all people. And you also need to understand that the people who make you are also the people who can pull you down. And I'm very cognizant of that. uh, I keep telling people that today, I have a lot of NRIs who get married in my clothes, and they come back and say that when we go and meet other communities in the countries that we stay in, we show your work and we say this is India. I think a lot of people take pride in the brand, and and I'm very humbled. Boman Irani had once said to me in a chat show that he said that while other designers and other businesses have customers, you have fans. It's scary because it puts a lot of weight on your shoulders. But I think that probably puts me in a correct path, that maybe I've done something good in my life to receive this kind of adulation, and I'll try to work hard. And honestly, this H&M collaboration, I come back to that, was actually to give people a sense of pride that if he can do it, so can we. And it doesn't have to be in fashion. It could be in music, it could be in architecture, it could be in food, it could be in anything. I think India deserves to have con- nationwide, worldwide recognition. It's about time. I think a lot of us, whether they're actors, musicians, writers, we all need to push forward for more and more global acceptance.
I remember this Bowman interview because I was part of it. You critiqued me very strongly on it.
What did I say? I forgot.
You spoke about how I wrote a piece in the first year of your launch and how you didn't speak to me for a year and you pasted it in your office. Do you remember that story? You've told it to
Yes,
me like a hundred
Sabyasachi has
times.
reinvented himself as the next best thing after the singer sewing machine, something like that. And it was my first piece of criticism. I was very rankled by it because nobody likes to be criticized, but I kept it on my board and I said, I will never let this allow myself to happen again, allow this to happen to me again. I ate humble pie, Namrata, because you were completely right. While everybody else praised me, you're the only one who cut me into pieces, and I deserve to be. And and a lot of people, I hear a lot of chatter that I'm not someone who takes criticism well. That's absolutely not true. You can never succeed or you can never rise if you're not listening to stories. I'm absorbing all the conversation around H&M, and I'm sure that somewhere everybody will reach a middle path where the modern and the old, commerce and art can all coexist hand in hand. There is space for everybody.
What's next for Sabyasachi, the company, and Sabyasachi, the person?
Okay. For Sabyasachi, the person, I need to get a little bit of biceps. I've never looked at my own personal health. So I'm running on a treadmill every day. I started enjoying giving back to myself so much. I run 7 kilometers every day on my treadmill. I have never understood the benefits of health. I was pre-diabetic. I have very chronic thyroid, which slows down my brain. And it's very difficult for the left side and the right side of the brain to be completely aligned and working together when you have conditions like thyroid. It slows you down. But now, since I've started working out, I've started feeling a lot better. And about the brand, I'll only say two words: global domination.
To that, I raise my glass to you. I doff my hat to you. Thank you for speaking to me in, I think, what has been your most tumultuous week of the year or the last few years. I really appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Namrata.
If you enjoyed the show or not, write to me on Instagram, Twitter, or Clubhouse at Namrata Zakaria. For updates on Tell Me How You Did It, follow us at HT Smartcast. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Clubhouse. To listen to more podcasts, log on to htsmartcast.com or suno naye nazariye se.